We're live.
Okay, we're going to start out with finance introductory number 117, firefighters insurance fund. Are there any questions? Nope. All right, we'll move on to introductory number 118, reappointment Civil Service Commission. Is there any questions on the reappointment?
I have a question.
Nope. I'm sorry. Did someone else say something?
Can I ask one? Are there term limits for these commissions?
No, I don't think so.
No, there's not, but I would just say the Civil Service Commission, it takes a while to get up to speed. So this is
I
one
can
of the
only
ones where,
imagine.
yeah, this is one of the ones where I think it makes sense to have, a lot of tenured leadership.
Can you guys hear me?
I can barely hear you, Councilwoman Priol. I mean, Lupien, I'm sorry.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Just
a little bit better.
barely.
Hi. I'm getting a new headset.
Okay, there you go. I can
Hear
hear
you
you.
good now.
We hear you.
All right. Yeah, I've got a couple of questions.
Okay.
So I know with some of the boards and commissions, certain spots are held for different parties. So he's a Republican. So is this something that does this seat need to be filled by a Republican?
My understanding is yes.
Okay. Second question, could we get an explanation of kind of what the role is, what the functions of the post are? And I guess, I don't know if there's an answer to this, but, how would we evaluate performance, to know how good of a job they're doing? Is there any kind of, I don't know, what outcomes? I don't even know how to ask this question, but basically, I feel like I have zero information to know if this is a good appointment or not.
I know what you're asking, Councilman.
Yeah.
You can, I don't know, I think these are on Zoom. I'm not sure if the Civil Service Commission is on Zoom, but most of them are, so that you can watch it. And most of the commissions and boards have a staff person that staffs them along with someone from law, and I do watch them occasionally. It's not my job to oversee them at all. I find people for them a lot of times, but I do watch them from time to time. And if there is an issue or someone brings up an issue on council or a person that comes before them, we do talk about that with staff, but there's not really a template for, I was on the zoning board for years, so I sort of saw how it worked. And there were a lot of trainings you had to go to, but there's not really, you're not evaluated every year if that's kind of what you're looking
Right.
for. But
Okay.
certainly, you might be able to do something like that. If people were interested, I think it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And
Like,
attendance is a major indicator
yes.
also for
Yes.
participation.
I
Yes,
saw it 86%.
Yeah, and that's usually the concern about attendance is usually one of the most significant variables that we as council members look at when they come for reappointment.
Okay. Yeah, I think the most helpful thing for me is to get an understanding of kind of what they do and what, board members' roles are. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, moving on to introductory number 150. It was a tweener. It is the amendatory agreement with Morrison Forrester to provide outside conflict counsel in relation to the independent investigation authorized by ordinance 2020-283.
I have a question.
Okay.
It's privilege issues and negotiations concerning the final report, and I just wanted an explanation of what that meant.
Okay, so privilege issues and negotiations concerning the final report. What does it mean?
Thanks.
When
Any
was
other
this one
questions?
sent? When was this one sent? I'm just looking at the email.
Yesterday.
It was sent yesterday.
Okay.
Do you see it, Councilmember Evans? Do you see it?
Yeah. If I'll any questions I have, I'll send you any questions, Conda, I might have.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, moving on to introductory number 151, a mandatory agreement with Nixon Peabody LLP to provide outside conflict counsel in relation to the independent investigation authorized by ordinance 2020-283. No questions. We'll move on to NBD, introductory number 119, sale of real estate. It's the sale of 3 properties. No
Was there a
questions.
page in there that shows, like for the North Street property? I saw the map, but I didn't see where it said who the owners, who the neighbor or who's trying to buy it. Where's that?
There is a page with the owners. I think it's the second or third page.
Do you know if that's
Yes, the second
the
page.
the place for the sauce guy, Eddie?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I don't know. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, because I didn't see that in there, but okay.
Con, did you say 2 properties or 3 properties?
It's
Well, I'm
3.
asking about, I see 2. Lyle, well, it's Lyle.
It's
Oh,
3.
It's 492, 498 Lyle,
Oh, I see.
490, 490.5 Lyle,
Thanks.
and then the North Street. Mhm. Are you all set, President Scott, or you have a question?
Yes, I'm good, thank you.
Councilmember Group, you all set?
Yes.
Okay. All right, moving on to introductory number 120, High Falls Business Improvement District.
Their budget. Somebody's conversation is going on in the background here. Their budget, I'm puzzled. I can't quite make it out. So at the bottom where it says earmarked to the next year, does that mean that's what was underspent in the, expect to be underspent in the 2021 budget? Or maybe the other way to ask it is, what are the expenses against 2021? I think that would make it flow more clearly.
Okay, what are the expenses against 2021?
Yeah, so that I don't understand that bottom line number, where'd that come from? Because it just shows a budget and the budget is almost the same. It's $4,000 less for 22 than it was 2021. But it doesn't show any expenses related to any of it. So I'm just trying to find out what the 17,851 relates to.
Can I add to that, Conda? Just a similar question.
Okay,
Also in 2022, it lists marketing, signage, advertising, capital improvements, projects for 2022, $21,850.63. I'm just
Mhm.
wondering if there's any linkage between that and the earmarked money, or if not, what is the what is the timeline for those projects to happen?
Oh, I see the earmarked balance from prior year. They put that, I see it.
Yeah, but I still have the same question you have in terms of
I see how they show that.
where it's earmarked from and what the usages are.
Mhm. And what is the timeline of the projects to happen? Okay. Any other questions? And moving on to introductory number 121, appointments, the Preservation Board. Introductory 122, South Avenue, Alexander Street, Open Space District, LIO number 1740.
I always have an issue with this. I really do.
No
The
question.
amounts that are on here, they get me. And I think it's higher than it was. I believe when it started, it was $5,000. So here's the thing for me this time. So as you look at the budget breakdown, how many times we had to pay for the maintenance of the planners in the same budget? Because the first line has maintained planners and you do all of that stuff, and that's at $550 a month. And then down here further, you're gonna do it again, and all the way down to labor and watering of the 20 of the planters. It just, the amount of this is, for me, is just ridiculous. But even if you just point to that one thing with where it said they're maintaining planners and it's over and over and over, but you're getting charged over and over and over. And the thing that concerns me is we are leveraging taxes against people who are taking our word for it that this is a reasonable expense. And we need to treat it like that.
Okay. Any questions?
Good luck capturing that, Conda. That was President Scott showing us a thing or two right there.
You know how we all have our little things, right?
So did you want me to capture all of that for your question, or?
I
Or
just
it's
need
just
to have the essence, and if you need help, I can help
Please,
clarify.
yes.
refer them to the YouTube video.
Oh, yes, I would need to have some help on that, President Scott.
Conda, I can rework it. I've worked with President Scott enough to know exactly.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you,
Be
Joseph.
careful, Joanne.
Okay. All right, so introductory number 123. It is the agreements, U.S. Treasury Emergency Rent Assistance Funding.
Yeah, I have a question related to the funding. With respect to the American Rescue Plan Act, I'm just wondering if these dollars could be utilized for mortgages as well, because I've caught wind that might be a thing. I know it's not under this ERAP program, but I'm just thinking I'd like to know the answer to that question.
Okay, so can these dollars be utilized for mortgages as well?
Yes.
Okay, and that's the American Rescue Plan. Okay.
This is so timely and so much needed. I was talking with someone the other day, and he indicated he had not received unemployment. He works as a school crossing guard or something. He's only working 1 day a week, and he hasn't received unemployment in months, although he's applied every week as he's supposed to. the last check was maybe in July or something. But he was sanctioned or something on his disability, so he's getting $100 a month taken out. He just had a whole lot of things going on, and he's $800 behind in his rent and had no idea what to do about getting assistance. The thing that was puzzling to me, and perhaps somebody can remind me, who's over the apartments on Dewey? Is it Dewey and West Ridge right there? They're new.
Pathstone.
Okay. I know that Pat Stone knows about the programs that are available. Why would they not tell their tenant who is so concerned about eviction about the available resources? He's facing eviction, and all he needed to do was he contacted 211. They're getting them set up to get payment. But I was just puzzled that, there shouldn't have to be a public information program for some of these developers who know about these resources.
Right. First of all, I should make a copy. I don't know that it's Paths. I don't know which one you're talking about, but the brand new one up there on Ridge is Pathstone. But I think one of the great additions to this legislation versus previous ones is that landlords can actually initiate.
Right.
It's got to be with the tenant's
Right.
consent, but
Right.
I hope that changes some of what you just described.
Well, somewhat, but even if the landlord didn't, if the tenant was willing to go and ask, the tenant needs to know, and this was a senior citizen, and, it's just not as familiar with all of this. And it was just unfortunate. And you'd hate to think that something as simple as people who should know and who should be able and willing to provide the information didn't do it. So I don't know what we can do about that. I have to think about that. That's not a thing, Conda.
Okay, all right.
I have a couple of questions, Conda.
Okay,
One, I'd like to, pardon me, I'd like to see dollar amounts with the funded organizations. You see, there's a chart there. If they could just fill in how much folks are getting. And then the other piece is that there's a huge amount of emergency rental assistance dollars coming out of the relief package. And I'm wondering if the administration can just comment on if this is, the CARES Act, we had multiple phases by which we voted on things and dollars were expensed. I'm wondering if they can give a sense of the phases of these relief dollars as well.
okay, so you would like to see the dollar amounts with funded organizations and also comment on the phases of the relief dollars. That's from the administration.
The relief dollars of this newest, of the phases of the newest relief package. Yes,
Of the newest relief package.
specifically as it relates to rental assistance.
Do we have any further questions on 123? Okay, on to 124, East Avenue, Alexander Street Entertainment District Local Improvement Ordinance. Questions? Okay, moving on to introductory number 125, an agreement Urban Land Institute.
Yeah, so I have a question on this.
Okay.
It looks like they're bringing in outside resources. And then we're contributing a quarter of what they need to do this. My question is this a study for them, or how are they using the information that they obtain from working with us in their work? I don't know if I asked that the right way, but.
Okay. So is this a study for them, and how are they using the information? Repeat that last part for me.
Yeah, so I guess, they're bringing in $60,000, and then they're asking us to contribute $20,000 towards their work. I guess
Mhm.
what I'm trying to understand is what do they intend to do outside of offering this service to the city?
Like, could you go a little further with that? You mean what will their deliverables be? Is that what you're asking?
I think I'm more asking about, what are they gaining out of this? I mean, I read this as they're bringing in $60,000 and they're doing this work for us. It's just intriguing that, is this a study for them? Is this learning for them? How are they using this? I don't know if I'm asking it right. Maybe strike it for now, and if I can figure out the words, I'll send it to you, Conda.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll keep it
Miguel,
there.
you could, is what you're basically asking, why are they providing dollars to us?
Yeah, actually, that's the simplest way to ask it.
Because I mean, I think it's a worthwhile question. I mean, there must be some reason why they're interested in providing dollars to this project.
Right. Thanks for the aid there.
Okay.
Why is you're not supposed to ask why questions, I don't think, but I think in this case it works.
All right.
Conda, can I just ask for a general update on Bull's Head at this juncture and how this opportunity, if this opportunity impacts timeline at all?
Okay, the update on Bull's Head and if this opportunity impacts timeline at all, and why are they providing dollars to the city for this project? Okay. Any further questions on introductory 125? Okay, introductory number 126 in PPW, 2021 annual street maintenance project. No questions? Okay, moving on to introductory 127, which we actually got the attachment A goes along with that. And it is an agreement art outreach. The attachment came in yesterday.
What is the attachment?
It's the no RFP justification.
Okay, great, wonderful.
Does someone else have a question or comment? Moving on to introductory 128, care and embellishment of street malls. No questions on 128. Moving on to 129, professional services agreement, waste management of New York LLC. There was a justification statement that came in yesterday for that one as well. Introductory 130, 131. It's a long one. It says agreement, Bergman Associates, architects, engineers, landscape architects and surveyors, DPC engineering, design and construction, administration services, milling and resurfacing project, Chestnut Street, East Broad Street to East Main Street, East Avenue, East Main Street to Alexander Street, North Goodman Street, Peck Street to Bay Street, and Clifford Avenue to City Line. No questions? And there was an attachment sent to for that one yesterday. It says attachment C. Okay, moving on to introductory 132. Material and environmental testing and geotechnical services professional term service agreement. Mhm. Introductories 133, 134, and 135. Priority Bicycle Boulevard Implementation Project.
I have some questions.
Okay.
I noticed that there wasn't much on the west side and wondered if there was a reason for that. And also I noticed that some don't connect. And I saw in the, it must have been public meeting notes, some explanation of that. So I guess my question is, are there places where the boulevards have a gap? And if so, how will that be addressed?
Okay, so your first question was, is there a reason for not much of them on the west side? Was that the question? Sorry.
Yeah.
So these are gaps in addition to the ones where the response is that there isn't a gap. Can't hear you.
I have two questions.
So the question about the gaps, are there, you identified some in addition to the ones that DES says don't exist? There's some more.
You mean you're talking about in terms of the notes that were accompanied with the, yeah, I'm just not sure if they addressed all of the ones that you can see in the diagram.
Got it.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions, excuse me, for 134, 133, 134, 135? Okay. Introductory number 136, Pedestrian Safety Action Plan Phase 3. No questions. We'll move on to introductory number 137. Local Improvement Ordinance, Street Lighting Enhancement Special Assessment District. There was an attachment A that went along with that. Moving on to 138, 139, 140, and 141. Waring Road Improvement Project, Culver Road to Norton Street.
I have a question.
Okay.
Has the work started yet? And if so, what sections are still left to be completed?
Okay, have the work started yet, and what sections are still yet to be completed? Are there any other questions on 138 through 141? Moving on to 142, Local Improvement Ordinance, Streetscapes. Moving on to 143. Local Improvement Ordinance, Downtown Enhancement District 2021-22 budget.
Did you ask for a list of who the advisory board is? References the Downtown Enhancement Advisory Board.
That's for who the advisory board is. Okay. Moving on to Public Safety, Recreation, and Human Services. Introductory number 144. Agreement Sam Asher Computer Services, Inc., DBA Asher Group, emergency telephone notification system services.
For some reason, my committee document doesn't have 144 and 145. Did that happen to anybody else?
I got it.
Okay.
That's weird.
You need 144 and 145.
Yeah, like I have the document, but it starts at 146 for some reason.
Online or your copies?
The copies that got emailed.
They
Oh,
corrected that, I believe.
Yep.
So they were just placed in PPW at first.
Oh,
oh,
okay.
Yeah.
those are the ones. I remember
Yeah.
getting a note on that.
Got
Do
it.
you need them sent to you, Councilmember Loopy?
No, I'm sure I can find them. I just don't have them in front of me to look at them right now. Is there any way that we could put those two up?
Give me a second.
Okay.
Sorry, thank you.
No problem.
While she's doing that, Conda, I do have a question on 144.
Okay.
Just how they access phone numbers. Are people opting in to this system? Or what is their source for these phone numbers?
Okay. Any additional questions on 144? Moving on to 145. Appropriation of forfeiture funds, storage for evidence.
What's the balance?
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have what's the plan for this evidence? You know, are we going to continue to store it in perpetuity, or do they have a plan to dispose of it?
Any other questions on 145?
Just what period of time does that cover? The $5,000? Does it say? Is it like a year or some months or? And would it beg the question of whether or not that something should be purchased as opposed to rented, depending on how long that rental period is?
All right. Introductory 146. A mandatory agreement law offices of Polano and Farrow, PLLC Conflict Counsel.
I just have a question. So if I'm understanding this right, if an officer is being disciplined and they have a hearing, we as a city pay for their representation? Is that right? Josanne, do you know?
It looks the other way to me.
Yeah, I don't think that's it.
It looks like when they are disciplined and then they object, then we would have to defend against them, not for them.
Okay. Okay, I think I understand. Thanks.
You still want to ask the question or just?
You can ask to make sure.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Conda, I have a couple questions.
Okay.
First, is this legislation compulsory because of the Locust Club contract? That's one. Two is how have the dollar amounts, or how about the last 3 times we voted on this contract, dollar amounts. And finally, last 3 times if the vendor has changed or if it's been this firm the whole time. Thanks.
Okay, so the last 3 times you voted on dollar amounts, and the last 3 times has the vendor changed? Okay.
So kind of, you might want to have that question complete. So if they said yes, you still want to know who it was. So you want to know who the vendor was for the
Who the
last 3
vendor is?
times.
Okay, okay. Who was the
Thank you.
vendor? Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? Okay, moving on to 147. Agreement, the State University of New York and Rochester Educational Opportunity Center, utilization of Jackson R Center Attain Lab.
What will be the hours of operation for it?
Okay. And okay, we're moving on to introductory number 148, the Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights. All right.
I'll just ask one.
Okay.
How will this work link to the 10-minute walk to park?
I couldn't hear that middle part of it. I'm sorry, Councilmember.
How will this project link to the 10-minute walk to park initiative?
Okay. How will this work link to the 10-minute walk to park initiative? Are there any other questions on introductory 148? All right, and moving on to introductory 149. It's the resolution urging the administration to terminate corporation counsel. Any questions? No questions?
I have a question. Is this moving forward?
Still in the cycle, we'll see.
Are there any other questions? That's our last item. Okay. Councilmember Evans still on? Oh, you had some questions.
I'm still on.
Okay. Did you still want to send in some questions or?
Yeah, I'll just send in one. But yeah, I'll send it into your contact. When do you need it by?
As soon as you can get it in an email, that would be great.
All right. Yeah, I'll do it before the end of the next hour or two.
Thank you. Right. And see, Councilmember Harris has hers in, and that's it. President Scott.
Want to say happy Easter to all of those who celebrate that most high holiday, and for that you all will have an enjoyable sort of extended couple of days off. Won't be
Thank you,
doing
you
any Easter egg hunting because can't tell them from the snow, but.
You gotta do it in the house. You gotta do it in the house. I'm doing it in the house with my boys.
I think the snow's
Yeah.
already melted.
No, I still
Yeah,
have
but-
some over here.
Yeah, I do
Perhaps over
too.
here, too.
I do too. And given our weather, because they had initially said it's gonna be about 7 inches, it still might swing around and give us something like that. So we won't
That's right.
count on it, but we'll find some suitable alternative. But I do hope that you all have a safe, healthy, and enjoyable holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
guys too.
Bye.